call this A7 Exponential Functions. And put this piece of paper in there. All right, so these are going to be some of the words that we're using this next unit. Exponential functions are all about money. Okay, so we're going to be talking a lot about saving money. We're going to be talking a lot about borrowing money, buying stuff, credit cards, loans. Maybe get into taxes. We'll get into tax rates. Okay, so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about education and loans and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to teach you about taxes. All right. First rule about taxes, about 30%. Whew. Okay. All right, money makers. All right, let's look at this. The first thing we're talking about, who knows what a savings account is?
So you have savings.
What's a savings account? Anyone want to tell me?
It's a fair where you put money and save.
Hold on, where's your hand? Charlie?
Shh. Money, but you can't use it.
Okay, it's an account where you put money, but you don't use it because you're saving it. Yolanda, shush. Why is a savings account better than putting money under your bed? Ooh, because of what? Hold on. Hunter. Because it gains interest. Shh. So the big thing about a savings account, it's not just a place to put your money. And it's an account.
Where you can make money.
An account. That says account. It's been a while. The bank, so this is important. The bank is the person who pays interest. And the reason the bank pays interest is because they use the money that you put in there. Yes? Okay, so we're going to talk about a savings account, right? It's an account you give the bank your money. Quinn, you need to stop looking that way. I know he might be talking back, but you're the one who's facing the wrong way, so it kind of comes on to you. Okay? So you give the bank money and say, here, I want you to hold on to this for me. And they don't just like put it in a safe and then give you interest. They take that money then and they use it. And one of the big ways they use it is that they give out loans. Okay, so you give your money to a bank and say, hey, I'm going to save this. Hold on to that for me. Except they don't hold on to it for you. They then give it to other people. Okay, in the form of a loan. Maybe they also might invest it and it gets increasingly complicated. But if you give your money to a bank, and then someone else comes in the bank and says, hey, can I borrow a couple $1,000s? That's the money that they give to other people. And that's what a loan is. A loan is money the bank gives you. But again, you don't just get to pay them back, right? The bank also makes money on loans. And you pay back this money with interest.
Money that gives you
The money the bank gives you? Yeah. The bank gives you. About that.
It's okay, people make mistakes.
The money the bank gives you, you pay back with interest. Okay? So again, savings account, you give the bank money. Say, hey, here. You saving that, go ahead and put on it. A loan is then money you borrow from the bank. It's money the bank gives to you. Both savings accounts and loans have interest. Luis, I don't want to see you off task again. Now, interest then, it's like a fee. It's a fee paid by either the lender, the one who gives out the money, or the borrower. Okay? So the bank can give you interest, they can pay you interest for you letting them use your money, or they will charge you interest for borrowing someone else's money. It's really interesting there, the bank.
It's like a legal Ponzi scheme.
Hmm?
It's like a legal Ponzi scheme.
Yes, sure. Okay. So interest, when I hear this word, makes me cringe. Talk more about interest later. Quinn, that's 2. Don't get to 3, please. Thank you. Okay? I know, but you'll have a chance. Let me just get through the definitions. All right, so interest, when you've borrowed money, it's terrible. It's terrible. When you're saving money, it may be really, really good for you. When you're borrowing money, it sucks. We'll talk about that. Then the interest rate. Yeah. We'll talk about, Andrew, we'll find ways for you to beat the system. It'll be great. Okay? An interest rate. So there's different rates at which interest is charged. It's a percentage. It's a percentage rate. At which interest is paid. So you might have a 3% interest rate. You could have a 7% interest rate. And those might seem like little numbers. And we'll kind of look at how those little numbers make a big difference in a minute. The last 2 then. So interest is usually a percentage. Okay, so they're saying, okay, we'll give you a percent of every dollar. And then the principal is the balance owed. Specifically when you are borrowing money. So that number can change. Right? If you borrow $1,000 and then you get charged 5% interest in a few years, that principal, maybe initially you only owed $1,000, but after 5 years and you haven't paid them back yet, now maybe you owe them $1,500. So you owe more than you borrowed. It's also a fun situation. We'll talk about student loans at the end of the week, where you guys will all see me cry. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk a little bit about today is a certificate of deposit. It's called a CD, not like, jams, not a compact disc. This is a type of savings account.
Where you take out money?
A certificate of deposit. And we're going to talk about CDs a little bit right now. So just so you guys know, does anyone have a bank account? Do you have a savings account too? Right? So in a savings account, you could go, if you had a savings account, you can go take your money out of savings. You're allowed to do that. You can put money in at savings at any time. You can take money out at any time. And there's not really any penalty. You just don't get as much interest on it. A certificate of deposit, or a CD, let's say I did this when I graduated high school. A lot of people gave me money when I graduated high school. So I had $1,000 from relatives that I put into a CD because this is like a really strict savings account. So they say you're going to give them, I'm going to give you this $1,000. And I said, I don't need it for 4 years because I was going to college. So I said, here's that $1,000. You have it for 4 years. I'm not going to take any money out. I'm not going to take it back. So the bank then gives you a higher interest rate. So you can earn more money on a CD than you can on a savings account. It's like it's kind of like a really strict savings account is how we can think of it. No, usually they have fixed amounts. They'll say,
Saving account, or can you not touch it at all?
I don't think you can add to it. I didn't add to mine. You just, it's like a one-time deposit of a fixed amount and you tell them when you put it in, they'll say, do you want to put this in for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. A lot of times it's a long time period. It's not something like 2 or 3 days or like a few months. Yeah.
You have multiple.
Yeah. And they have the interest, we'll look at them more in a little bit. But before we do that,
So if you get, what happens if the bank collapses, like the bank? Then they owe you money.
then it's terrible. Lots of bad things happen. Okay. Let's suppose you had $500 and you were going to put it into a CD. Okay. Maybe you're just going to put it into a CD for 1 year. Okay. The bank is offering, because you're only putting it in for a year, again, they like it when you put it in for a longer period of time. A year's not very long. So they're saying, okay, we'll give you a 3% monthly interest.
Twice?
Okay. So what this means is, it's better than a savings account. That's a worse number than they'll give you when you borrow money. But I don't know. It depends who you borrow from. It's an okay amount. A 3% is, you're not going to get that on a regular savings account, probably, unless you have a really good savings account. So again, the numbers aren't very big. Okay. We need to talk a few things, though, because we're going to be dealing with percents here. Now, there's a few things I could tell you about percents. I'm going to say 2 different things about percents right now. You need to hold on to one of them. Okay? The first thing I have to say about percents, maybe this one works for you. The percent sign and the word percent means per 100. Percent as a decimal is divided by 100. So 3 divided by 100 gives you the decimal. That's the first thing. Maybe that works for you. Now, second thing, if you're like, what did you just say? You said divide. Okay. The second thing, okay, think about 3 cents. How do you write 3 cents? Oh, okay.
3 in the cent sign.
No.
0.03.
Okay.
3.0.
3 cents.
0.03.
Okay. 3%, you can either think of it as this. Look, 3 per 100, 3 divided by 100, or this is how you can think of it, okay? You're looking at 3 cents, 3%. So this number is 0.03. Now, so I will do the first kind of 2, okay? Initially, our starting value, how much did we put into this CD? 500. Okay? So in that first month, if we earn, we're going to earn 3% of 500 times 0.03. Okay? Hold on, look, don't grab a calculator yet. Sit down, but I don't want everyone to go grab one. So, the interest, 3%. Listen to this part, please. I'll be done in 2 minutes if you listen. 3% of 500 means I'm going to do 500 times 3%. Take those out. 3% of 500 then, look. 3% of 500 is $15. That means in that first month, you would earn $15. Which means what's your new total? We add those two up. Okay? So now, look. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to have a clue how to do it. And guess who's going to feel sorry for you? No one. Great. Okay? No, I don't care. Okay? This number then is our new starting value. Okay, so after a month, we have $515. And now, it's not going to be 15 again. Now we're getting 3% of 515. So now I would do 515, 3% of that. In that second month, we make a little bit more. We make 45 more cents. Do you see what happened here? Okay, look. You do not earn the same amount each month. You do not earn the same amount each month. This number is changing. Okay, so now your new total would be $5.30, 45 cents. Right, so that's where we start for month 2. So already, look at this. You guys are like, 3%? It's kind of weak. After 2 months, though, you've already made $30 at 3%. Okay? So, I want you to continue doing this. Find out at the end of the year, how much interest would you have made? How much interest would you have made? Okay? Go ahead and finish that table off. Your totals should look something like that. Are we close to these first few totals? So check like for 5 months. Okay, now I will say, hold up. If you didn't round properly at any point, then you'll have maybe a few cents off here or there. It's okay. We will let's just talk for a second about rounding. If you have, I don't know. Okay. If this is my number, I just want to talk about this briefly. JK. Okay, if this is like the number that my calculator spits back, and we know we're talking about, we only want the first 2 decimal places. Okay, here's how rounding works. Quick review. Okay, will you look at the next decimal? So this guy right here determines what this number is. Okay, since this is bigger than 5, this number gets rounded up. So I would write this as 579.64. Okay? If you haven't seen rounding before, or maybe you kind of forget, someone told me a rhyme once. Has anyone ever heard a rhyme? Remember, like 5, oh yeah, 5 and more raise the score. I think that's what someone told me. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
There's something, I haven't heard it, but yeah. 5 or more raise the score. That's the game there. Okay? Yeah. Look, hey, people who rounded incorrectly. If the next number, if we only want 2 decimals, stop. You can go tell Mr. Phillips about it if you need to. If this number is 5 or more, you round up. Okay? If this number is something like this, 579.63203372. If it was like this, okay, so again, we want to cut it off right here. We only want 2 decimal places. Since the next number is less than 5, you just leave it alone. Okay? If you need help with rounding, I will happily come help you, but I'm not going to talk more about it right now. Okay. So here's the deal. Did you guys end up with somewhere close to this amount?
734.22.
Okay, so look at this. Again, I made a typo. If initially we put in $500, how much did we make in a year?
74. Oh. 200.
Look, if initially we put in $500, that means after a year, you guys said, oh, 3%, that's not that much. But look, check it out. After a year of getting 3% interest, you would have made $234. Right? So, yeah, but, so look, like that little 3%, after time, this 3% turns into, I don't know, more money than if you had left it sitting in a jar somewhere. Okay?
I don't know, what if it was like a jar that like people were
No. Nope. All right. Now here's my question. Okay, now what if I told you this? What if we wanted to figure out how much we'd earn after 2 years?
just do the same thing.
No.
Do you guys just want to keep on keeping on with that table? Right? Or if you said maybe you wanted to figure out your investment, like if you put some money in, you would want to figure out how much you got after 10 years. You probably don't want to make a table for 10 years. Is this true or false?
True.
Yolanda, would you do a table like this for 10 years?
No.
You probably wouldn't, right? Yeah. This 12 months was long enough. Okay? So here's what I need you guys to, here's the question then. We know how much did we start with? Okay. Now, start with $500. I want to look at these numbers, and I'm just going to ignore that. $500. So 515, 530. So our table went something like this. 0, initially we had 500. Then we had 515. Then we had 530.45. Did you add the same amount each time? No. Right? You already could see that. You're not adding the same thing each time. Here you add 15, here you add 15 and a little bit. Okay, maybe they're close, but they're not the same. So we cannot say this is just a line where you just add $15 each month. Because you're not just adding $15 each month. Right? As you add $15, that percent, now you get more. And the more it grows, the more you get. Right? The bigger your principal is, the more interest you're going to earn. Or pay, but that's, okay? My question for you guys is, and you may not know the answer right now, I want you to figure it out, Luis. I want you to figure out, what are you multiplying by? Okay? What are you multiplying by each time so that we can find a shortcut so we don't have to do this for 10 years? All of you are capable of multiplying and knowing if you're right, so maybe you want to guess, maybe you have a different way of doing it. You need to, right now, find the number that you multiply by each time. You have calculators in front of you. What are you multiplying by each time? It has to be the same number that you're multiplying by. Find it in your teams. Go ahead. From here to here. 515 to 530. 515 to 530.
Only if you don't have any change. Only if you don't have any change.
They blotted it out.
Huh?
They said something.
What? Yeah, you don't know what they said, so maybe keep finding it.
Divided.
She said times that divided.
0.06, does it work? 515 times 0.06?
No, 1.0. 1.0.
What?
I don't know, this is where
This is none of my numbers. What are you? What?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Look, look. This. I need it. It's supposed to say 515, not 15.
Oh. Oh.
Did we come up with? What'd you get? What'd you get?
1.03.
You got a 2? Hey, look. 500 times what gives me 515? 1.03. Okay. So look. 500 times 1.03 is 515. 515 times what is 530? Are you sure? Times 1.03. What's that supposed to equal?
Yeah. Press equalness.
Whoa. So if I multiply by 1.03 here, I get 530. What about if I do it again? 530 times 1.03. What should I get?
46.
The next one.
546.2.
Boom.
That's 35.
I wasn't off. No, look, I wasn't off. Look. 0.36. We rounded.
It was really easy.
So check it out. Where did we start? What was our initial value? If I'm going to write an equation,
Y equals?
write an equation with me. Alondra, go. Write an equation. Ready? See how I wrote and you didn't? That's a problem. There we go. We started with 500. Now, what are we doing each time?
Times?
Multiplying. We are not adding. This is not a line. Cece, stop. We are multiplying by 1.03 to the power of x. Notice I said to the power of x. This is a new type of equation. Look, write it down. Why is this 0.03 significant? Claudia, go ahead. Okay, because it's repeating. It's what we're multiplying by. Why does this make sense, Manuel? Huh? It's the 3%. This is the 3% we were talking about. Okay? This is not a dollar. Okay? This is the percentage. Because each time, let's think about it that first month. If you get $500, right? Remember how you guys then were adding the percentage to the new total? Right? Like the $500 doesn't go away. Okay, when we're looking right here, you got 3%, and then you added those two together. Okay, that's why this 1 comes in. This 1 basically says you don't lose your $500. You get your $500, 1, plus you get your 3%. Right, so you get whatever you put in, plus the percentage. This is your percentage. Okay? So this says, here's what this says. You might want to write it down. The initial value was $500. And the interest rate was 3%. Okay, this is our new type of equation. When things grow by a percent, it is not a line anymore. It's an exponential graph. We're going to just put that in our notes real quick like. Okay, so in your notes again, A7, we're going to summarize that.
I'm feeling this one.
Okay? Exponential functions. This is the type of function we're talking about. And you guys specifically we're talking about interest. Okay, I'm just going to say that all exponential functions we have a new equation. It's really, really similar to lines. Remember lines, we had a starting value and what you were adding or subtracting each time? Now, this is the same thing, except we have a starting value, let's call it A, times some other number. This is an exponential equation. Where A is your initial value, and B is what you are multiplying by each time. So if you wanted to go back and you wanted to find out how much you would have after 10 years or 2 years, you don't have to do that whole table anymore. Right? If we wanted to go back to our equation, the $500 and the 3%, and say, okay, how much would I have after another year? How many months is 2 years?
24.
Right? 24, because there's 12 months in a year. So if you wanted to know how much you'd have after 2 years, right? Here's this equation. This is the months. So we could find out, we call that number 7, after 2 years, or 24 months, yeah, I'm calling that number 7 just for fun. How much would you have? I want you to use this equation. Tell me, after 24 months, how much would you have? So after 2 years, after 1 year, we know we had $734. How much would we have after 2 years? Find that out right now. No, don't double it. Use your equation. Hint, you got to use the caret button. So on your calculator, you all need to find out that caret button. That's what I call it. You need to do this. 500 times 1.03 to the power of 24. This is what you need to find out. Look at your calculators. Find out how to press these buttons. Find out. You got to use this. Go. This. Look.
You do not get something off your Christmas wish list.
How I mean? Because I want you to learn something. You learn this. This is new. You get a chance to start over. You told me all last year, and you're like, I didn't get it. I want you to get it this time. I got everything I wanted. Thank you. Cole.
I didn't get it. You got coal?
No, I didn't get it.
I got coal.
My family doesn't do.
Like chocolate.
Thanks for sharing. Hey, will you do this? Will you please learn how to press this on a calculator?
Okay, someone can laugh.
What? What did she say?
Someone can laugh. Go away.
What'd you get? What?
1,016.
Cool.
Oh, you did?
2 million pi? All right. Okay. Cece, did you do it? What'd you do? What'd you get?
I got 1016.39.
How'd she do?
Be great.
Too bad I did okay.
Okay. So after 2 years, you'd have 1016.39. Which means, look at that. How much did you earn? How much? Okay, 516. So after that amount, hey, your investment's already doubled, right? You went from 500, now you have over 1,000. Okay. Now the nice thing is it works like this for saving, and if it works like this for saving, it also works like this for borrowing. But there's an even higher interest rate. It's really fun. Okay. Well, again, we'll look at borrowing. We'll be optimistic right now. We'll talk about. I just mean we're not going to talk about borrowing today. I'll cry. I'll tell you. I'll give you my loan numbers, and you can calculate how much I owe. And then you all want to be teachers. It'll be great.
Yeah. So work for nonprofit. What if you started nonprofit? Same thing if you're working.
Let's see our new skills.
I feel like there's a catch to this.
Shh. There's not. It's my plan. Okay. Okay. Hey. Here's a table. Shh. Justin, are you adding the same amount each time? Why do you say no?
Well, doubling what is going up by everything that goes up.
Okay, so like here, look, right? Like you should be able to see this. You do plus 5, and then it was plus 10, then plus 20. You're not adding the same amount each time. So what I want you guys to do, again, I asked you 2 questions when we talked about lines. I'm going to ask you 2 questions when we talk about exponential functions. Where does it start? What are you multiplying by? All of you are capable of doing this. Write me a rule. Where does it start? What do you multiply by? Should take you, maybe 30 seconds. Where does it start? What are you multiplying by? Write a rule. Hey. What are you adding each time? What are we doing then, Luis? Times 2. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40. Times, those are timesies. So look. Shh, hey, stop. So if you're writing a rule, where does it start? 5. And you are multiplying by 2 to the power of x. Please check your paper and show me you wrote multiply. We're not doing lines anymore. It is not plus. We'll look. If you want to look at the graph, let's graph it. Sure, let's look at it. 5 times 2 to the power of x. When I graph this, looks like that.
Cool.
We'll look at the graphs though later. Okay, you guys think you're pretty fancy? I'll give you a good one.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Write a rule.
Yeah, it needs to be chill.
Again, where do you start? What are you multiplying by? Hey. Hi. Get the program, young man. What are you multiplying by? Nope. I don't mean minus. I don't mean divide. Since you guys are so fancy. Hey, Rodney.
I can't see the
Rodney's going to enlighten us. What's going on, Rodney?
It's multiplying by 0.5.
What's another way to say that?
100 times 0.5 equals
What's another way to say 0.5?
0.5.
I'm going to call it 1/2.
2/4.
So what's half of 100? And what's half of 50?
5.
Check it out.
5.
So look.
12.5.
Shh, look, I want to point this out. This is the last thing. Then you have one more example, and then you're done. Okay? Well, the last thing I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about the next example. A lot of you guys right here, maybe your first thought was, oh, you're dividing by 2. Okay? You're dividing by 2 each time, yes. But we are not talking about dividing. We are talking about multiplying. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. Dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. I would give you a spiel about how there's really no such thing as dividing or subtracting, but I'm going to spare you. So the rule here would be it starts at 100 and you're multiplying by 1/2 each time. And I think you guys, it's pretty clear, obviously, that this one is going down, right? The numbers are getting smaller. Okay? Now, here's your last one.
Is this our final test?
Yeah, but it's a different one.
Is this our final?
Notice my question. How much interest Okay, so here's my question for you. Once you have this question answered correctly, I will give you your homework.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Cece.
Stacey, find a way. Please.
So my question is, how much interest would you earn after 12 months if you deposit $200? You know your initial amount now. If you deposit $200 in a CD with 4% monthly interest. Now, you could do this one of two ways. You could make the table like we did before and find it out, or you could write an equation and find it out. But my question is, how much interest would you earn? Interest is in addition to that $200. Come show me when you have it correct.